How are you guys doing? So, well, this, is an incredible honor. I'm lucky enough to be on the True Colors Fund's board, and as you've seen from this morning's program, it is an extraordinary, extraordinary organization. And behind this extraordinary organization is an extraordinary co-founder, Cyndi Lauper. And I've been lucky enough in my day job at MAC Cosmetics to work with a lot of spokespeople, and I just want to say what an extraordinary honor it has always been to work with Cyndi because of your focus, because of your impatience, and because of your talent and your passion. And we were just having a small conversation before we got here about this morning's program and how energizing it was, and how in part how discouraging it was, how important it is that we have action steps that we're all going to take coming out of this meeting, and that there were some particular themes. So one of the questions people always ask Cyndi, and it would be great if you could just sit and talk and inspire us, is why you got involved in this issue and why it's important to you.
Okay, but before I do that,
okay,
I just want to say thank you for coming here and being a part of this and eating your lunch while we're, I'm not going to talk like, I'm not going to give you some speech because I just don't have patience for that. And I'm not a politician, so it's pretty straight ahead. The kids, they want us to stop talking and help them now. And a lot of you people are working very tirelessly at these centers. I know you are. And a lot of these kids, they don't want to say, they don't want to, they don't want to register as, LGBT. Some of them are scared and they're just on the street. I'm here, and it's wonderful that Gregory and Jamma and Nick and Joe and the people from the working for the fund chose this center because this is the center that I came to after I saw the kids. It's okay. After I saw the kids on the pier, I came here and I was looking to make a photograph for people who, fashionistas, trendsetters, so that when they thumb through a magazine, interview magazine, they would get a clear picture of what's going on the street today. So I went to the pier, of course, thinking, I guess when I was a kid it was more glamorous. But now, it's not. It wasn't so glamorous to talk to these kids as an adult. I heard stories of Hispanic kids who were thrown out of their house. What? Oh, yeah? You want me to? But you heard me anyway, didn't you? Okay. They were thrown out of their house because, in the culture, because in the culture, being gay or transgender was not part of their culture. It wasn't machismo. It wasn't, my God, I even saw a transgender girl from Pakistan, right? Can you imagine Pakistan, where they burn a woman for divorce sometimes, the real extremists? So this kid had a hard time. They all had hard times. They just started to get a picture of it. I was making a photograph, and all of a sudden I realized the issue. And then I came here, and I saw what people were doing here, but they don't house them. And I went to this West Generational home and met Colleen Jackson. She started the West Generational home where they take in unwed mothers and senior citizens, and she kind of, one hand washes the other, I guess. Everybody who doesn't have a family feels like a family, and the older people watch the little ones while the mother is working, and it's all under the supervision of a house person on each floor. They have somebody. But
I spoke to her and said, you know, this is really fantastic, but you ought to do something about these kids who are gay. They're just thrown away. You can't throw kids away. That's a funny thing. Being a mother, they give you a little pamphlet, right? Some instructions when you go home. You know, if they cry, they're either wet and you got to change them, they're hungry, or they got gas. After that, you're on your own. And there's no return policy, you know? So the idea that you would, after all of that trouble, to help them grow and stay alive even, to throw them out, you know, either they don't have anyone to talk to because they must have loved them all their life. So the dogma and the belief system, you got to share your stories. You just got to talk to somebody. By talking to Colleen Jackson, she went out, she came to the True Colors tour, because that's how it all started. We did a tour, an inclusive tour. I was so excited. I always wanted to have my own tour, and it was inclusive. And that was exciting to me, because it was all different kinds of people, all different colors, all different kinds of music. And I was excited about that. And comedians, because there's nothing like the music of laughter, okay? And so she came to the tour, she saw the whole thing, and she went back, and she started the True Colors residence. Now, this is I'm sorry, Nancy, I just have to tell you, this is the important thing. Now, the True Colors residence really is under a government wing that does low-income housing, okay? And this woman made an affordable place for people to live, where it's the next step, where they have permanent housing. They're not asked to leave within 15 days or even 30 days. And what if you can't get your stuff together in 30 days? Then what? Then, you know, you're out in the four winds again, you know? So by sharing what I had seen with Colleen Jackson, she went and the way she did the West Generational Home, and started to find the place for the True Colors residence and buy the land and build the house, which came under some form of HUD or low-income housing. And there was a bank that was tied in too. She was able to get a loan. This is why you are all here today. This was our dream. And to have Nancy Mann on our board was also a dream, because she's bright and she has solutions for things. She taught me a million things when we did the MAC campaign, you know. And always it's talk to each other, you know. I see famous people all the time, you know, networking for something. Do it for the kids. You're busting your butt for them. Talk to each other. As I said before, you may be falling down in one situation, but maybe it's HUD. Maybe somebody got it in at a bank, because you know how everybody hates the banks. Well, apparently, there was this thing when she was doing the True Colors residence of a bank that gave money to the homeless. I think it was LGBT, not just homeless, because they needed a better look, you know. Look for those people. It will help the kids do it. And this afternoon, I just want to say, is really, really, really important. Because that's when these people are going to really get down to brass tacks and tell you what the ABC of what is happening. Gregory told me a while ago, you got to go to Washington. And I always thought, those people, they don't do anything. They don't care about us. They just want our money, and they don't care, and they make a lot of pretty speeches. But apparently, they do stuff. And we went to Washington, and we met different people. The same people that you saw up here, I met them, a few of them. Not the philanthropy dame, I should have met her. But I'm sorry if you're here. I'm just kidding. But we met with them, and it's a long process. I would like to shorten the process as much as we can. So listen to how they do things. Take notes. Take notes on the different organizations that can help fill the gaps that you're having. Ma'am, you were talking about the hospitals and how to treat the kids. I believe there's a talk this afternoon that will give you the A, B, and C of how to deal with the kids. Am I correct? Yes. And so that's why I'm talking to you. And I just think you don't throw kids away. They are kids, for crying out loud. They're just kids. And you may, even as a kid, you may think you're tough, but them streets are tougher, and it's really hard for them. And they gotta know that they can, you know, it's easy for us to say, oh, you can be who you want to be. Yeah, for some, but not for everybody. So you gotta have steps. You know, Colleen Jackson is going to make another house in the Bronx. She's going to try for Brooklyn. She's going to go for Queens and Staten Island. Well, that'll take care of New York City. Kind of, because there's only 38 beds. So somehow we got to figure it out, how we can help these kids so that they can find a safe place to live. If they can go back with their parents, fine. But, you know, as you know yourselves, some parents are a little crazy. And some parents, it's not repairable, but some it is. You got to understand, too, with the parents, they're scared. They don't know what to say. They didn't get a pamphlet. They just got the gas and the food and the diaper thing. They didn't get the pamphlet of, what if my kid tells me they're gay? And here's the thing. Nowadays, if a kid says they're gay, a parent's like, well, they're gay, you know, like Modern Family. But if a kid says, I'm transgender, well, then that's a tough one. What are they looking up? Who do they talk to? And yes, you can talk to PFLAG, thank God. But it's not, you guys, you're the foot soldiers. You're the ones. And I love you to death for how much you work and how hard you work for these kids. You really do. And I thank you, and they thank you. But you're really making the future of our country, too. You know, you never know which kid is going to become a doctor and find the cure of cancer or anything that we face today. That's why. That's why you're so important. And I thank God for our people who contributed here, that we could even have this, you know? And we are just blessed. We're really blessed to be here. And I hope you learned a lot from listening to those kids that were talking here before, because that was really important. And, you know, it sounds like, hey, move it. You know? Well, we're trying. We're trying. And the lady from Montana needs to talk to the HUD lady. Once you get the building, you can always go to Bed Bath & Beyond and talk them suckers into dinner. If you need a letter from me, I'll do it too. You know, and you know, we can all contribute, but you gotta go start with the HUD. I can't build houses or take mortgages out all over the country. I just can't. So, all right? So talk to each other. I'm not gonna bore you with any, right? What else can I tell them? I told them I spilled my guts. All right. That's it. Right? And this woman is really smart, and we are so lucky to have her on our board, as we do with everyone on our board, including Joe Avalon, who continues to help. Thank you, and our team.
Well, you can
thank
see why Cyndy inspires so many people. And we were just talking about the most important thing was to come out here and really thank you all for all that you do every day. And that this isn't like, and we're big baseball fans in my family, my partner and I and our kids. It's not like Jared Dieter retiring where there's all these Gatorade commercials and all these like, thanks, Captain, thanks, Captain. I mean, this is an issue that's tough, when you go to Thanksgiving or when you talk to people. And, some people you're never going to change, right? But what we were talking about before is the importance of really reaching out and creating allies. And that's really what something Cyndy has done. Bono said, celebrity is a currency, use it. But one of the things that's so impressive to me about Cyndy is that she stayed focused on this issue for so long and goes to Washington and talks to people. Nancy Pelosi was here last night. And the reality is your fame and your voice and your passion breaks through the clutter, right? There's a lot of causes out there. So how do we get people to pay attention to our cause? And how do we make sure that our kids are more resilient? And one of the things I've always been struck with, Cyndy, is, that you come from a place of being a mom, and we do try and raise our kids so they are resilient. These are kids that, for those of us who've had experiences of being different, and it's just tough to be different. Separate is never really equal, honestly. And we know that, and some kids are facing mental illness issues, their families aren't very supportive. The other thing that I think that was also clear from this morning is it's easier generally in cities sometimes, that some of the rural areas, it's even harder. So one of the gifts, in addition to the True Colors Fund, which I am deeply honored to be on the board with, I just want to also thank the staff, Gregory and Jama and the rest of the staff have done a great job in getting people here today. Also thank the center for making this space and actually making sure it was done, right? They just did the floors.
Could you imagine?
Look what a nice space we had, right?
Sweet.
But also, honestly, this is also your chance, honestly, to ask a few questions of Cyndy. So we have a couple minutes left. Or me.
She's really smart.
My life isn't nearly as interesting as Cyndy's, but so if you guys want to ask any questions of Cyndy or make any points in terms of building the movement, this is really a time, kind of an open space, as it were. So I don't know. We have
All right.
we don't have a shy crowd. That's a good thing.
No, good. What?
So I just want to, a statement, and I want to thank you for saying the word mental health.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot about housing today, but I also know, and Jama, wherever Jama is,
She stepped out for a second.
it's not just what we do, it's how we do it. And if young people are burning through our programs because it's so rule heavy and they can't get in compliance, right? We're continuing to fail our young people. And I think mental health is really critical. And I'm not saying that young people have to sit in a session for 45 minutes every week, right? I look at one side, and Cariel and Lola and Cece, that is mental health. So I'm looking to Ann, and I don't mean to dog Ann, and I'm going to piggyback on you and co-sign what you said.
It's all right.
We got to fund these really out-of-the-box programs because those are the programs that are really addressing and having long-term relationships. So thank you for saying the word mental health. I use the word healing instead of mental health maybe because we all have mental health stuff, right?
Well, mental health is kind of a real faux pas that nobody likes to talk about. And there are people with mood disorders as teenagers and bipolar as they live on the street. And when you live on the street a long time, you can become slightly schizophrenic. And that's a big issue. So like when you said, open your doors, let me explain something to you. Before you open your doors, get to know that person. And because you don't know how their mental health is. It really does wear on you. If you ever see a guy come out of the woods, he's been there for 2 weeks, because I was in Vermont, and you could always tell those guys coming from the woods. They were a little crazy, because they were alone a long time. And when you're on the street, the kind of alone that you feel and how you protect yourself, after a while, wears you down. So that's a big thing, and it's nobody talks about mental health. Mm-hmm. But that's really important. And also, when you are told that, and if I may, and please excuse me for being vulgar, and I'm not going to say damn, when you feel like the ground that shit falls on, you feel like shit. And you do self-destructive things because what the hell? You know, it doesn't matter. I don't matter. So then all of a sudden you're compounding how you feel about yourself to the choices and behavior that you do. And it's very important. I don't know if that's under the government program. They only fund things that work, I know that. So the other stuff, as Gregory says, we got to get the rich folks. I wish I was very, very, very rich, because then I wouldn't care and I could do whatever. I do the best I can.
Well, you're rich in spirit. Yeah. You know, I think the other thing I know from the AIDS perspective, really the sorrow in the United States is the numbers of gay and bisexual and trans men and women of color that are being infected with HIV and literally killing them remains, you know, even though we have all these great drugs, and now we can prevent HIV, we can treat HIV, but essentially those numbers keep going up. And the one reason, mental health is a big issue, but also stigma. You know, at the end of the day, these are people who haven't been valued. And it really is a community sorrow. And trying to figure out how to change that is really, I think, what the True Colors Fund is about and what this meeting is about. But it's not easy stuff. If it was easy, we'd be done. And that's why we need, I think, 110% of everybody in the room. But, you know, one of the things, I was lucky enough about a year ago to work a little bit with Gloria Steinem, and she always challenges people to leave the room and do 2 outrageous acts of courage. And so one of the things I just want to throw out there, and again, in a lot of ways we're preaching to the choir because you guys are already doing courageous acts every day in your day jobs, but to try and talk to that one person or make that one ask that maybe you wouldn't have done on behalf of these kids. And you know what? The worst thing, I've spent my whole life raising money, giving money away, and the worst thing they can say is no, right? But the best thing is that you asked and maybe you raised some awareness. Because what we're seeing again and again in this stigma, which is basically prejudice, is that people don't seem to know people who are gay or who've been homeless. And so to speak out and say that you're gay, or that your son is gay, or that your son has a mental illness issue, or that someone has been on the street, I think makes a big difference, because I think people live in bubbles, and people like to put people in boxes. And that's what's been so amazing about your career, is that you've broken those bubbles, and that you've really, I think, opened doors in ways.
I don't know. I really was homeless for a little bit, and I know that if you stay by yourself too long, you do get a little cuckoo. And I thought, even my whole life, felt like I was a little crazy. I did hear voices. Fortunately for me, they sounded like songs, so I wrote them down. Seriously. And, you know,
I even the voices a take on the songs or royalties.
No. But I mean, I was at a Hare Krishna place because I was hungry. So I knew if you went to the temple, they fed you. And if you scrubbed the bathroom, you were cleaning your heart. So I was scrubbing away. And I don't know if it was the sugar or the residual of something I took, the night before. But the pictures started moving, and they were funny. And one time I saw a picture wink, and I thought, oh, haha, that's really funny. So I'm cleaning and laughing, looking at the picture. So they took it as I was special. I mean, special in God was talking to me. The picture looked like a cartoon to me, and I'm not sure if it was God was talking to me or not, but the picture, maybe too much sugar, a little residual of mescaline could do that to you. But, I know that it took me a long time just to be successful, and to stand here was a big freaking mountain, And still, I feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing in life. I have to, take a few steps back. God knows I can't meditate, I'll tell you. I tried a million times. But, some people are just like that. But you should talk to other people. I am standing here and I am successful. I did get help. I got help. I was angry. I got help. I was abused as a kid. I was different. I had rocks thrown at me because of the way I dressed in the really straight neighborhoods. And of course I'm stupid, I turned around and asked him, I called him Archie Bunker, and I asked him where to get his clothes in a rack with 10 others just like it. So of course I had a bigger rock, flung at me. But, share your stories. Tell the truth. Fuck it. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't want to take more of your time. There's people who really are going to talk about what they're doing and the ABCs of what you can do that could help you. That's why we brought you here, so that you can learn from each other and go home and do what you need to do to help you get to the next step to help these kids. So you don't need to hear any more from me. And if you want to ask anything, go ahead. But the people to really ask are the HUD people, the Anne, the philanthropy, the lady in orange over there. There she is. And the gentleman who's trying to get the census so that he can go back to the government. He worked in the government, and he knows all the gates in front of you. We're here to put you together so you can kick those gates down. That's all. Okay? Thanks.
We're going to do 2 questions. I promise them.
All right, but what can I tell them? I spilled my guts already. What?
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for being so generous in your spirit, and thank you for your leadership, which is no small deal. So 2 questions. Yes?
Again, I want to thank you for your honesty. You've shown a lot of points that I could comment on, but just thank you for the courage to speak your truth, and also the idea that we can do more than just housing for young people, and how do we give young people a sense of self-efficacy through education and employment, and I hope we can talk more about that. But so thank you, Cyndy. Nancy, as a member of corporate America, it would be really interesting to know how we as providers can approach. Individuals are millionaires, a few billionaires, but corporations, well, I guess they're people too, but how do we approach corporations to get them more involved in what we do?
Well, I think it's a great question. I was actually just reading the latest edition of Chronicle Philanthropy. It's got this great article on that ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. And what was so striking to me, they raised $100 million on that challenge. And what was, I don't know if people are familiar with it, but basically...
Oh, yeah, I gave the money. I didn't take the dime.
But I think what was so striking about that challenge was it was actually a kid living with the illness that did the challenge. It wasn't like an agency or a corporate. So my really strong feeling on this is that we have to give these kids a voice. I mean, what Cyndy just said about, who's a future doctor, who's a future, I think there is a way in which we have to humanize and create more storytelling around homeless gay and lesbian youth. There is, primarily I work for MAC Cosmetics, and I would say 3/4 of the company is gay, and so I think we understand that being different actually leads to a better brand, and actually we're one of the most successful brands in the world, and it's largely because we're all weird. So I think that we think differently, so I think one of the things that we should think about collectively is storytelling for gay and lesbian and homeless youth. How do we get their voices out there? And I think the Give a Damn campaign was so effective. If you looked recently, Miley Cyrus had a homeless guy get up and get her award at BMA. Like you could qualm with that, but it was this amazing moment where she broke through the clutter and she gave this kid a voice. So maybe that's something that we could work on together. I think that corporate America is more than ever understand that part of our job description is thinking about the citizens that we are in the world. The large corporation that I work for has done a lot of breast cancer work. We've done a lot of AIDS work, but we're always looking for good causes to support. And I think there is a way in which this issue hasn't really been framed, as it were, I think, or humanized. And I'd be happy to work with you all on that. So, one more, yes. Can you do me a favor? Just move that bag because I can't see your face.
Sorry.
There we go.
So first I would like
Okay, it was stand up. Stand up proud.
So first thing I would like to say is in response to when I said open up your home. I've even as a youth recently, I've had my own place, and I came down to the city, and I would know friends who's still living out in the street, and I would offer my home. And I have been, in a sense, a victim to them in their survival states, taking things from me, bringing other people to my home. But what I meant by that was seeing that one with the potential to giving them the opportunity.
Yeah.
But then my question is, as a youth, how do you build a narrative with so many adults, in a sense, creating this stigma around your age and around your lack of access? Because I feel that's been a huge issue for me, right? Like, I have the energy, I have the intellect, but I don't necessarily have the 100% access that I need, because if I didn't meet Laverne and just sit down with her and share my truth and my story, I would have never been able to get the platforms to do that. So how do I offer other youth that same kind of, in a sense?
Okay, but what access exactly, so that they can hear?
I would say access, allowing you to come. It's not all about the money, at least for when you're young. You can't take $1 billion and know what to do with it on a corporational level. But I think bringing us in on the conversation and not using us just as some sob story, and seeing that we're worth more than just the survival, more than just the mental illness, more than just the need of finances. So to me, I'm saying access in terms of how do you create more loving environments without access?
Without access?
Yeah, like for me, I go on the streets and I just like go to like Staples, create banners, stand on the street, and just like talk about it. If I have a few bucks, I'll like go to a food place and just like get dollar things and hand them out, because I know that's what counts. So I'm saying, like, how do I get other organizations to partner with stuff like that?
There's an organization that's outreach. You need to get to an outreach place where they go out into the field and they find these kids and they bring food and they talk to them. And you would be a prime candidate to work with them. Gregory, is that Centerlink? Centerlink is the outreach, and he's here. Where is that guy? There it is. You guys should talk to each other, and you can actually step forward now. Now you have access, and you can help them.
And I'll just add that, one, having you here today is the first step for us at the True Colors Fund of young people being the central part and the central voice of this issue of LGBT youth homelessness. And for next year, 2015, that is really going to be the centerpiece of our work, is changing the narrative in this country, giving you the voice that you want to express and you want to tell, and create the avenues for you to be able to get your message out there. This is so crucial to us impacting this issue, is because of your willingness to stand up here right now and say you want to tell your story. I'm going to tear up, but you are exactly the person that we need to get out there into society, and we're committed to working with you to make that access happen. So, you, me, Jema, and a whole bunch of other young people, we're going to sit down and we're going to get this message out there. We're going to get it out in the way that you want it to be told.
And meanwhile, you should still talk to the guy at Centerlink, because they're feeding them, You want to get them food, and I don't know what, like portable toothbrushes, right? Like gloves and coats and blankets and things. I'm scared for the winter, basically. And so that's good, but talk to that guy, please. Thank you. And we're out of time.
All right,
I'm
thank
getting
you all,
the
and
info.
thank you, Cyndy.